Soft.
Soft power.
Powerful.
Soft.
Soft power.
Powerful stories.
Powerful.
Soft.
Powerful.
Stories.
Hi, everybody. My name is Christopher Wurst. I am the producer and host of Soft Powerful Stories. This is a bonus episode that quite literally will take you to the far side of the globe with best-selling novelist Roland Merullo. If you have not yet listened to Roland's regular episode of Soft Powerful Stories, I can't recommend it strongly enough. In that episode, Roland takes us from adventure to adventure in the Soviet Union while he worked for the United States Information Agency. Today is something completely different. A short glimpse of Roland's equally short stint as a Peace Corps volunteer in arguably the most remote posting there was on a tiny Micronesian island. If I give you a couple of minutes, how would you set the stage of your Peace Corps experience? Just kind of fascinating and unique to me.
It was. I was a very religious kid. I'm still very religious in my own offbeat way, but I was raised devout Catholic and I took it very seriously. And I was very aware of suffering in the world. I don't know exactly why, maybe from reading National Geographic. I don't know what it was. I felt like I had this beautiful life. I was never hungry. I had a home. I traveled. I had a good family, and I wanted to share some of that with people in the world who I knew did not have those things. When I was working at the ski area, I would hitchhike back and forth to work 17 miles each way. And one guy who picked me up had been in the Peace Corps, and he talked about it and very positively. And that at that point, I was looking for something to do like that. And so I applied. I came home. I lived with my parents again, and I was really anxious to go. I had been in the Soviet Union. I was not happy living in my old bedroom. The Peace Corps took its time, and finally I got a phone call, and the guy said, we have a place we can send you. I had applied to work in Morocco with blind people because I had volunteered with blind people when I was in college, and that did not work out. But they said, we can send you to Micronesia. I didn't even know what Micronesia was. And he said, but I have to tell you, it has the highest dropout rate in the world. It's very isolated. You're on these little islands all by yourself. And I said, I don't care. At that point, I would have gone anywhere. I said, I want to go. So I went. We went to Guam first and had 3 weeks of training. And then we went to the Truk Lagoon, the main island, which is a big volcanic island. It was called Truk, then it's called Chuk now, which is closer to the way those people say it. It had been like a reverse Pearl Harbor in World War II, so there were sunken Japanese destroyers in the lagoon. Spectacularly beautiful. These green forested peaks rising out of, turquoise water. It was absolutely incredible. And I lived with the family and took language lessons and learned to spearfish, not with a gun, but with a slingshot kind of thing, with an incredible underwater life, just 20 times better than the best aquarium you've ever been in. It took a long time for me to ship out. For whatever reason, the ship schedule just didn't work. And I finally got shipped out after I'd been 1 or 2 months living with that family. Beautiful, wonderful people. And I shipped out, and it's like a 60-mile across open ocean, and I came to this little atoll, the high point of which was 6 feet above sea level, and you could walk around the whole thing in 15 minutes. And I got dropped off there, and the ship, I was told, would come every couple of months with mail or medicine or whatever. There was no running water, no electricity, no doctor, no single women, which was important to me at that time. But I had gone in with the greatest altruistic feelings. I wanted to help people. And They weren't hungry. They ate from the sea, everything in the sea. They had coconuts and breadfruit and taro and bananas and papayas, rice. They had USDA rice. They weren't hungry. They were very happy. They were much happier than most Americans. They were poor by certain definitions, but really rich by other definitions. And they shared everything. If one father went out fishing and got a big load of fish, and another father didn't feel like fishing on that day, the first father would give half the bucket of fish to his kid and say, go take it over to Marcus's house, and he didn't feel like fishing today. Women would breastfeed each other's children. Kids would say, I want to go live with blank, and they'd say, okay. And they'd go live sometimes for years. They'd go live with another family and then come back. It was really communal. But I had nothing to do. The job was to take the laws that they'd had from antiquity, which were only oral, and put them down into written form so that they could be an entity in the eyes of the United Nations and the world. They would have the status. But one of the laws, ironically and sadly for me, was that you couldn't do that without the permission of the chief. And the chief was an hereditary chief. And he was a 300-pound guy who lived right near me, Marcus, big, huge guy, very friendly guy. And we had a meeting, just the men, the women couldn't come. Every week they had a meeting, and I went to the meeting, and my language was fairly good. And I said, look, I'm here to take the laws and write them down, and this is why, and I'll do a little English teaching if anybody's interested, which was an enormous mistake because there was a guy there who spoke some English, and he was tremendously insulted. And he came to my house that day and said, look, I'm the English teacher. I said, I'm sorry, I don't want you teach English, don't worry about it. But that negated any possibility of me doing anything. I waited a few weeks. I thought, okay, these people operated differently, and I saw Marcus every day. And finally, I went up to him. I said, Marcus, I'm ready to go. I'm here to do this job. And he put his hand on my shoulder. And they couldn't say L, so he called me Ronan instead of Roland. And he said, Ronan, don't worry, Ronan, no problem. We'll do it. I said, okay. I waited another few days. All I did was spearfish every morning in this unbelievably magnificent underwater. Well, there were a lot of sharks, and it was a little bit dangerous. And I would catch these fish, about 8 inches long, and the kids would laugh at me because I was a grown man and I was catching these little tiny fish instead of what. But my host mother, would cook them up. And I stayed in the water for as long as I could, which is about 3 hours. The water was very warm. And the rest of the day, I had nothing to do. I couldn't sit in my house because it was too hot. I'd walk around the island once or twice, and then there was nothing else to do. The men would be out working, catching fish, out in their canoe, and I begged them to go, and they said, no, too dangerous. I said, okay. So I just sit there, from lunchtime till supper time in the equatorial heat and humidity and do nothing. And I was really, really sick. I got a horrible worms infestation. I had horrible infections, urinary tract, ears. Like the tropics just don't work for me physically. It was a kind of torture, really. And I kept going up to Marcus. I say, look, I'm going crazy. Can you please let me do something? Yeah, we will, Ronan, we will. So finally, one day he did. And he said, okay, Ronan, we're going to have the meeting. It's set up in this house. All the men are coming. I ran the meeting, and it was incredible. These men were so sophisticated in their understanding of law and society and human behavior. It was amazing. I took notes. I came out of there, I felt like I was on heroin. I mean, I just was so happy. Marcus didn't go. He refused to go. I saw him outside, and I said, Marcus, it was unbelievable. I'm so thankful. I love it. We got to do. Okay, Ronan, we'll do it again. We never did it again. So a ship came. in less than 2 months. It was I don't know what, it might have been a Japanese ship. They would come and collect copra. That's how some of the people made a little money. And my girlfriend from home sent me a box with a lock of her hair in it and cookies and music. And then the ship left and there was nothing. I was just nothing. There were normal meetings. There was spearfishing. I was sick as could be. The only thing I did was a guy cut his leg to the bone with a machete, climbing up a palm tree. And we carried him on a door into a little shed where it was like 110 degrees. And there was a woman who'd had a little bit of medical training, and she had a little tiny bit of xylocaine left. And the guy, the cut was to the bone on his outside of his left thigh. And his father had put a tourniquet around his leg. And I said to her, you have to take the tourniquet off or he's going to lose his leg. And she said, no, you can't take it off. He'll bleed. I said, you have to try because otherwise he's going to lose his leg. So she did take it off and the wound started to seep, and she sewed it up from the inside out and gave the guy one little bit of xylocaine, and he was stoic. And he said one word the whole time. He said, metek. It hurts. That's all he said. And in the room were like 10 women keening, his mother, his sisters, oh, my son, it was, I had to leave. I could watch a little bit and I finally had to. So the one thing I did was maybe save that guy's leg, and that was it. And the ship came, and I said, I'm leaving. And they were very, very upset. It was very hurtful to them that I left. But I said, I begged you to work. I can't do it. So I felt ashamed. I had these idealistic motivations, and I quit. I had never quit the Soviet Union job, and I came home and I really was ashamed. I was poor. I was sick. It was not a good time in my life, but it was an incredible experience to see human life, human society before any kind of industrialization at all. It was really, I don't like the word primitive, but that's what it was. It was tribal, hunter-gatherer. It was, and the physical beauty was amazing. So that's my Peace Corps story.
What was the music that your girlfriend sent you? What was your soundtrack while you were there?
I remember Jackson Browne and Bonnie Raitt.
Nice.
It was mostly the lock of hair that did it, however. She's now my wife, so it worked. Yeah.
Roland Merullo is the author of 28 books of fiction and nonfiction that range from suspense novels to love stories to golf and travel books to spiritual road trips. His books have sold over 500,000 copies and have been translated across the globe. Micronesia serves as a partial backdrop for his first novel, Leaving Los Appas. Thanks to Roland for taking the time to share his stories. Remember that regular episodes of Soft Powerful Stories come out every Friday. Please visit softpowerfulstories.org for more information about the show, including guest bios, photos, and space for feedback. And if you haven't already followed us wherever you get your podcasts, please know that your support, including positive reviews, juices those algorithms like nobody's business. Thanks for listening. Until next time.